For those of you who are new here, you probably clicked on the link in my bio on my TikTok page. And if you are new, I just want to say welcome to my channel. For those of you who have been watching, watching my snack reviews, I want to give a shout out to you all and thank you very much for your support. And I really appreciate all the feedback. And want to say that I do read the comments because I want to know what people like about the channel, what changes could be made. So I'm going to go over that right now. So first and foremost, I'm going to be continuing doing food reviews. I enjoy them, and it seems like other people enjoy them as well. However, there's some that, they like my TikTok page, they like the creepy, cringy POVs. They come on, they see snack reviews, and they're thinking, what the fuck is this? I thought I was going to get more content. I'm not really a big food review guy, and that's, everyone has their opinion, and, there's certain stuff I don't like, and, to each your own. So for those people who, would rather see more content, I think YouTube's a perfect opportunity for that, which is why, I've been posting some shorts on my YouTube channel, so you can find the shorts here. These shorts are actually videos that were taken off by TikTok for various number of reasons. You hear me all the time bitch about all the restrictions on TikTok, and so these videos were unfortunately removed, but I can post them here. Also, I'm not only going to be posting videos that were removed, but I'm going to be posting videos that are likely to get removed. See, I don't want my TikTok page to get banned, so I'm not really taking any chances with that anymore. So if I have a feeling it's going to get banned, it's going to be removed by TikTok, you only get so many strikes. I'm going to be posting on here. So if you want to see content that is not posted on my TikTok, I can't post on my TikTok, come on here and enjoy my shorts. Along with that, not only am I going to be posting more shorts on this page, I'm also going to be doing television and movie reviews. The last food review that I did, it got a lot of good feedback. Thank you guys for your suggestions. And, a lot of people enjoyed me ranting, raving about that shitty Clint Eastwood movie. And, I love doing television and food reviews. I love talking about it. Big fan of hearing myself talk about points that other people have already made. So I am going to be doing those as well on here. So I'm going to be doing television reviews, movie reviews, continue on the food reviews, and last but not least, goes to be posting shorts, videos I can't post on TikTok. So let's get into the review. And before I get crucified in the comments, I want to say first and foremost that overall, I really did like the show. I thought it was captivating and I was invested in the characters. So overall, I say they did a pretty good job with Squid Game, but there's always things that could have been improved, and I'm going to get into that. Some of the things I didn't really care for. So before I get into that, I want to go over what I really liked. I like the plot. I think the plot is really cool. Going to this, having people go and compete in this survival game. It's a game of life or death. The stakes are high. That's always captivating. Not really original, though. I mean, if we really, think about it. I mean, we got Hunger Games. Battle Royale was another movie that came out many years ago, and there's other shows on Netflix that have kind of a similar premise. But the thing that makes this show unique is not the plot itself, but the execution. Because there is something about this show that made me really stressed. And that stress kept me on my seat. It kept me captivated. It kept me wanting to find out more, to see where it was going to lead. Now, I think that the show gets us to feel this way by doing a number of things. I think that, for one, is just the visuals of the show. So let's think about the setting. Most of the show occurs indoors. The Squid Game happens in this on an island, and it's all indoor because they're trying to keep people in. They're trying to keep people from escaping. And you know, that feeling of being inside for nearly the entirety of the show kind of creates a feeling of claustrophobia for the viewer. On top of that, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the lighting in the show is really harsh. It's like really harsh fluorescent lighting, which, you know, kind of makes you feel like you're being like you're in an interrogation room. And I think they did that to make you feel like the characters are always being watched. There's always a light shining on them. And once you join the game, there's nowhere to go. You're stuck and you gotta play. Along with that, I think that also the colors add to, you know, our feelings of stress in the show. You know, if you see, they use a lot of red. And, you know, the characters, I forget the name of the guards, you know, they all have red suits on. And this, you know, red is a color that, you know, it gives us a feeling of stress. It gives us a feeling that we're in danger and that something bad is about to happen. So I think that added to it. Not only the visuals made us feel very stressed out, but fuck, that audio. Every time there was a gunshot, I kind of jolted. And, you know, it's like, okay, well, gunshots are scary. Well, not really. Like, if you've watched other movies, war movies, gunshots, you know, that they don't do it as well. Gunshots that go off over time, it just kind of becomes background noise. You know, here's another gunshot. But this movie was, or sorry, this show was different in how they use gunshots, because every time there was a gunshot, you always have that feeling of like, you know, you're wondering. It was very unexpected because you always wondered who died. Okay, are you going to be next, or is the main player going to be next? And, you know, on top of that, it was very loud. It was very unexpected, okay, which is what I liked about it. And there was other times in the show where they used audio and visual to really jolt us and get us on our toes and always make us feel like, yeah, death can come at any time. And, you know, along with the visual and the audio, you know, another cool thing about the show is that, you know, Squid Game, they incorporated children's games, and I thought that made the show overall pretty eerie. And the reason for that is because, you know, what do we associate with children's games? We associate children's games with innocence, you know, happiness, and there was nothing innocent or happy about this show. You know, these games were terrible, and people were getting killed, and people were doing horrible things to win the games. But, you know, well, when you think about it, you know, I mean, yes, I have feelings, I have memories of happiness and innocence when, you know, I think of the playground at school and children's games, sure. But there's also something kind of primal about it, because I feel like when you're growing up and when you're a kid, your brain hasn't really fully developed to know, really grasp right and wrong and ethics and morals. And so a lot of kids are kind of devoid of that morality which you developed as you get older. So being a kid can be kind of primal, can be kind of brutal. There's a lot of fucked up kids around. I really like how the show gets us to get really invested in the character. I mean, I personally felt very protective of the main character, Song Gi-hun, player 456. Every time there was a game, even though I kind of expected him to make it out alive because he is the main character, I was still very worried about him. And this is the reason why I believe, like, why we're really invested with this character is because of how vulnerable he is. I mean, from the beginning of the first episode, we see he owes money all over town to shady characters. You know, he can't afford to provide for his daughter, let alone get her a nice gift or a decent gift for her birthday and a meal. And so we look at this character as very vulnerable, very weak. And, you know, there's something about that that really resonates with us, because maybe, you know, we're not at that level where we're stealing from our mom and being a deadbeat dad to our kid. Maybe we're not at that level, but there's times in our lives where we feel like we're at the lowest of the low, and that problem after problem is getting us down, and that if one more little thing happens, you know, we're basically done for. So I feel like we can really relate to that vulnerability. And you know, our chances in life, it's a brutal world, you know, and this is kind of what I felt like, you know, the show was getting at, is that, you know, at the end of the day, it's a brutal world, and to get up to the top, you know, your chances are pretty slim. So we kind of live through the character. We all feel vulnerable at one point in our life, and we really want this guy to make it through. And he does, whether that it's a combination actually of, you know, will and you know, his strength, and also just a lot of it had to do with pure luck, which you know, is kind of the truth in life as to how things go for others. But the second reason why I believe we're really invested with him is because we can really relate to the character, and we really like the character because he's flawed. As I've been saying since the beginning, we've known he's flawed, yet he demonstrates these characteristics that we really admire. You know, he shows empathy towards other people, he shows loyalty, and even though we first perceive him as a weak character, there are times where he shows strength, so we admire him. You know, if he was just perfect from the get-go, I mean, I don't know how we could possibly relate to him, because no one is perfect. So another point I want to make about the show has to do with the message that the show is trying to convey. What is the purpose of the show? What is the show's meaning? And I think we can all agree that the show is critical of a system, whether that system is governmental, economic, societal, whatever that system may be. This system has the haves, it has the have-nots, and this system credits itself on being a meritocracy, but it really is not. And oftentimes the system is really rigged to where whoever makes in the end, it's based purely on luck. And we see that with the main character. I mean, when you think about it, is he really the strongest character? Or were there instances where he just made it through by pure luck? You know, because everyone's chances were really slim, but he happened to be lucky. I see that with the stepping stone game on the glass. He chose, you know, out of pure luck to be the last player in the game, which was fairly lucky. And you also see that with the old man. I mean, you know, the game is rigged. It's for the common folk, you're lucky to get out and get on top, and for the people who are in power, the game is rigged for them. And like I said, you see that with the old man, because I mean, he doesn't die. If we were playing by the rules, he would have died in the marble game. And we see in the tug-of-war game, he's not locked in to the rope when everyone else is. The sensor doesn't get him and isn't sensing him in the red light, green light game. All this goes to show that, you know, the very guy that owns the game is playing the game rigged in his favor, representative of elites in society. You know, the game is unfairly favored to them, right? I think we can all agree that's what the show is trying to show. But what's interesting is that, you know, I believe there's also a criticism of Korea's own economy, Korea's own political system. You know, when you look back, Korea is interesting because after the Korean War, Korea was in a very poor state. They were battered, you know, obviously had gone through a war. It was a very poor country, and they weren't really producing much, you know, product after the war. And so after the war, the United States government gave money to the Korean government. And what the Korean government decided to do was to give the money to families and to businesses that were already prospering. And these families were called chaebols. So the idea was that instead of giving out money to, you know, disperse it to everyone, the idea was that if we were to give money to the already prosperous, who already had businesses, then those businesses could prosper more. It could create, you know, products, could create jobs, and could stimulate the economy. So that's what they did starting in the late 50s and 60s. And you know, throughout the decades, their plan actually worked. I mean, Korean GDP went up, people's standard of living went up. Overall, the economy really shot up through giving money to these noble families. But over time, you know, problems arose because a lot of these families, you know, these businesses could make irresponsible decisions, and they didn't have to worry because the government could bail them out. And so inflation happened, and layoffs happened, and there's very high unemployment in Korea to this day. And a lot of people attribute that to the chaebol system. And so the reason why I'm saying this is because I can't imagine that the creator of the show didn't have the chaebols in mind when making the series. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and I also think it's interesting that, you know, or I should say it's lucky that, you know, that just happens in Korea. Thank God, you know, banks in America can't act irresponsibly and get bailed out by the government. So, you know, thank goodness for that. All right, so let's talk about what I didn't like about the show. Now, some of you guys may feel that I'm being a little bit petty by bringing this up, but I think that there's others who will agree with me on this one. So I had a problem with the atrocity in the last episode, and I'm talking specifically about that red atrocity. And if you still don't know what I'm talking about the main character's change in hairstyle, that red bowl cut thing they decided to do. I don't know. Here's why it bothered me, okay? I mean, one, the character's a good-looking guy, and we were kind of excited that he was going to clean up after being a hermit for all that time, you know, and it was going to have a new look. And that's what they were trying to go for, right? He has a new look now. He's kind of reborn, and has a whole new lease on life. But, yeah, it looked really bad. And what just kind of irritates me about it is that, you know, they couldn't just give him like a nice clean haircut to prove that point, you know, the point that he's now over his hermit phase. They have to make him look kind of crazy, you know, so he gets red hair, and they're trying to portray him kind of as the Joker, you know. If he gets the red hair, the red bob, he kind of looks like the Joker. And I just didn't think it worked at all. I mean, he looked more like Miranda from fucking Sex and the City than anybody. Another aspect that I didn't care for in the show were the VIPs. These are the guys that came to the games to watch them for enjoyment, to bet on the players. And I didn't care for them because I thought these characters were just way too over the top. Prior to their introduction, I felt the show was very eerie. It was very creepy because even though the show has an unrealistic premise, there are realistic aspects to Squid Game because in history, in times of war, genocide, people have done terrible things to other people. So there is a realism to the show. It's not that far-fetched. And for the reasons I explained earlier, because due to the show's execution, it felt really creepy. It felt really eerie. It felt really uncomfortable. And then when you had the VIPs come in, it kind of took that away because every line that came out of their mouth, it had to be over the top evil, okay? And so these guys were basically caricatures of evil elitists. And as you see from the imagery, that they're wearing the animal mask and are engaging in weird practices. It almost seems like the creators of the show wanted to show that these guys were Satanists or the type of people that would get into an evil secret society. I don't think you needed that. I think that it's evil enough that they're there to watch the games and to be a part of this horrible game. So overall, didn't care for them. Thought the writing, honestly, was pretty bad with respects to those characters and could have done without them in the show. So last thing I want to mention before ending this review is the final scene of the last episode. For those of you who don't remember, the final scene is where the main character is about to board the plane to see his daughter, and he ends up not getting on that plane. So, I was initially bothered by this scene because we're told that the main character had not seen his daughter for at least a year after he had won the game. And the reason why it bothered me, and I think it bothered so many other people, is because the reason why he joined Squid Game and decided to do this crazy game in the first place was to be able to financially support his daughter and have a relationship with her. And he was kind of throwing that down the drain by not seeing her. So initially bothered me because it felt unsatisfying, but the more I think about it, I think I know what the show is trying to convey here. Because here's the thing, is that since the beginning of the season, we know that the main character is irresponsible. I mean, joining the game itself is one of the most irresponsible things you can do. He's a gambler, he's a risk taker. He has psychological issues. And so what I think the show is trying to convey is that old saying that money, doesn't solve everyone's problems. The main character is still going to have to deal with his own issues, his own psychological problems before he's going to be able to have a actual relationship with his daughter. So that was kind of my take on it. But anyway, I'm going to leave it on that note. I am looking forward to the next season of this series, and thank you guys for watching.